We are starting soon.
What is up, Album Book Club? Welcome back to another weekly review. Today we are taking a look at Point by Cornelius, suggested to us by our special guest Max over on the other couch.
Oh, it's a good one. Is it a good one?
I guess we'll find out.
We're going to find out.
Do you have anything to say about this album before we get started?
All right. I was going to drop some 100 gex and get everyone real excited about their vocals and all that stuff because they're just the best band. It's great. Who doesn't love listening to Frog on the Floor? It's a great song. But I was listening to a little bit of Katamari Dynasty soundtrack, and this was in the recommended albums on the day that I was going to be picking the album. And first track got me hooked, so here we go.
How on earth did the first track get you hooked?
Not the first track, the first song. The first song. Yeah,
we'll get into it. All right, Max, do you want to start it off with your top three?
All right, top three. I think this is a given. Bird Watching at Inner Forest. We've got Point of View, and then Tone Twilight Zone.
All right. Carson?
All right. I have Tone Twilight Zone, Bird Watching at Inner Forest in Brazil.
I have Fly, Bird Watching at Inner Forest, and Point of Viewpoint.
I have a concern, but okay.
Ooh.
I had Smoke, Brazil, and Bird Watching at Inner Forest.
I had Bird Watching at Inner Forest, Drop, and Smoke.
So there's
Is it?
I was going to
There's a
say Bird
consistent-
Watching.
Oh, it is.
yeah, there's a
Clear.
consistent thing here.
Mm-hmm. We figured out which one goes in the Monday, Wednesday reel.
No.
All right. Let's get into our bottom song. Max, what do you got?
I don't know if anybody else felt the same way, but I don't treat the first track as a song, so I exclude that one. I excluded another one that we can get into, but another point or another viewpoint was my bottom song.
I didn't exclude the other one. I hate. It is my bottom song.
So mine is Tone Twilight Zone.
No.
I don't exclude anything. Mine is Bug.
Mine is I Hate.
Valid.
Yeah.
We are going to have a discussion when we get to that one, I think.
Yep.
I hated it. Bro.
I'm going to get a little hopped, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
All right. Let's get right into the first track, if you can call it that.
It's a track. It's not a song.
That's true. Bug, Electric Last Minute. I gave this a 1 out of 10.
Give this a 5 and said the rules.
I gave it a 6. It's not a song, but I feel like it's a must-needed intro to what you're
No,
about to
it's not.
experience. It's a needed intro for what, because
Can we like Photoshop the copium mask onto him real
no,
quick?
it put everything that you're about to feel from the whole album into this like 20-second track.
Brother, it's a schizophrenic break.
Oh, and that's but are you not prepared for that when you hit I hate like,
No.
so it's good. It's all right, but it is pretty out there.
I gave it a 4.
Give it a 5.
Are you also a dub rules?
No, I just wrote it's an intro. So
It's not, though. It's just 30 seconds of static.
No, it's
gave me a
40
headache.
seconds of making me schizophrenic.
Well, there's a
Whoa,
little
whoa,
bit. Of,
there's
isn't there a
voices
little bit of
going on
guitar in
there.
there? There's like a little bit of like.
Not really.
It starts a little calm, and then it's like we're gonna mess this whole thing up. Right.
I will say, when I did my first listen to this album, I think I was on shuffle and it went straight to the last track, and then I was doing something around the house and missed the whole first half and just locked back into the very end of this album, thinking that was how the first track started.
That might have been the fix. I have a thing when we get for the whole picture that you might have had the best experience for the album.
No, I definitely did not.
You might have.
No. Does anybody have anything else they want to say about this piece of garbage?
It was whack.
No, it's just way too jumpy. Like, it swaps back and forth between a bunch of stuff. It shoves it all in your face all at one time. It makes you feel like you're kind of going crazy. And, like, for me, it just made me raise my eyebrow more than anything. Like, I didn't...
That's
I,
the
like
idea, though.
Like a little bug.
I get it, right? But, like, I didn't like it. I wouldn't listen to it again.
Do you like little bugs? All right. You're a bug guy.
It did
I mean,
feel like I was a
if only I
fly
also wore
flying
my
into
bug
the
mode
bug
shirt.
zapper.
He's a certified bug guy. I can't argue with it.
I can't help it. We love Bug Moment
So
over
you
here.
didn't wear the hoodie this week.
Thank you, Bug Moment.
Too warm for hoodies.
Hey, they're here. They're here in spirit.
Yeah.
I was just upset the title was longer than the song. That was it.
That is true.
That's true.
All right, we said a lot for. I think our review was like 4 times over what the song was
Yeah,
lengthwise.
yeah.
So we'll move on to point of viewpoint. To prove that I did enjoy this album, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Gave it a 7.
Guys, I gave it a 9. I gave it a 9. I
Hey,
like it.
Hey, all you got to do is flip it upside down. I
You
gave
know,
it a 6.
Yeah.
I also gave it a 9, so I think he's right.
Let's go.
Oh, we're
Okay,
just doing
I'm not-
backflips over here. That's
I'm
what
not
we're
crazy.
doing.
I'm not crazy. Okay.
No, for me, I have a very specific reason why I didn't like it. It's all the stereo stuff going on. Not gonna lie, the difference in the stereo and like how they're using it, I wasn't able to attach to it very well. I didn't like it very much. Someone is super into stereo, like they're really into it. There's a lot of it in here. It's kind of neat how it's done. It's just I didn't latch onto it very well. And like some of the lines, like the humming break that comes up a lot throughout this album, felt kind of corny, especially, but like it's kind of the age of the album. Like this album came out in 2002, so like it just feels a little bit dated.
Yeah.
And I think it has a really good beat. I just wasn't able to latch on to some of the actual music behind it because of how much stereo was happening.
It does show its age. There were some things, and that's like my least favorite song has that age in it, and it kind of shows itself in some of these.
The 2000s hum is really present, like here.
Yeah.
Just all the songs for at least 30 seconds, I swear.
It's great.
It's not.
Yeah, see, I was super nostalgic for it because it made me think of like all those piracy commercials that were on DVDs and like watching The Matrix 10 times in a row. And I don't know what else I was doing in 2001, but I mean, whatever.
I was being a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that it had a really clear mix, and I liked the chord progression, like the way the chorus fit into it. There's a lot of rhythmic contrast in this whole album. The only thing I didn't like, the drums just had too deep of an effect on it, and they got kind of crunchy.
Wild. A lot of these songs have a note about how good I think the drums sound in all of this.
I would like to point out my only note for this song is the drums are so sick. So
I will say they're good, but they are a little bit loud most of the time. Not enough to like affect the score really, but like almost.
yeah.
Especially on the next one, we'll get to it. But yeah, this to me is kind of just like a cool sample chop song. And I mean, it's great. I had like a little road trip today, and I ran this album for it. And this song, pretty much on till about the halfway point, was great. And it all made the driving playlist.
It was giving me a little bit of Avalanches in a way. Like it was showing a little bit of that glitchiness. But I felt like this track was a great start because it gets you acquainted with almost like this crescendo style that they have going on with like every single song, where it starts out very, very soft, like maybe they're throwing a little bit of vocals in, and then by the end they're just doing their thing and repeating the popular bars.
Yeah,
basically.
there's definitely a steady build up throughout like all of these songs.
Yeah.
The only other note I had about this song was more like that corniness kind of coming through. I just didn't talk about it, like them specifically calling out where the sound's coming from. I'm like, okay, that dates it more than anything.
Yep.
That's like,
say-
hey, stereo's cool.
I was gonna say, is it corny or is it from 2002?
That's what makes it corny.
Yeah.
Like
That's-
it's just dated. That's all it is.
Corny now, I guess.
But that's
Yeah.
that's the point of viewpoint.
yeah.
That's the point.
You're
that they're
getting the
telling you the
viewpoints.
viewpoints.
Yeah, it's
We've got layers here.
but at this point, it's like, ooh, look at this
At this
stereo.
point, you say?
Yeah, right. See,
So-
point
so-
proven.
Do we know if they recorded these or if they're samples? Because you mentioned Avalanches, and they only do music concrete. So like Avalanches only do pre-recorded content.
strictly, yeah.
So I don't know
I-
if this is that
I
or not.
want to. I didn't look into it at all, but just from what I was hearing, I want to say that they recorded it. Just certain
Yeah.
things
And I think
sounded
it's-
like it.
I think it's
but-
just affected and chopped a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was a lot of like with the bird noises in bird watching, like they definitely digitize it in a way. There's another song where like the vocals start getting a little crunchy in there. So yeah, they're probably just playing around with like trying to samplify these, which I enjoyed. It was pretty nice.
This definitely does have the early Pro Tools crispiness, and I even listened to the remaster, and it still was extra crispy. So
Nice.
Yeah, good song. I got screwed over there.
There's not much.
Nobody
you can
talked about the like weird percussion instruments at the end. They just brought in everything. There was finger cymbals and
Oh yeah.
you name it, it was there. It came in a really open section though. It kind of built up like really grand, and then just opened all the space, and then immediately filled it up with a bunch of random stuff. It's pretty good.
I feel like that's a theme for a lot of these songs. Is like they get a groove going, and then they're like, let's just mess this up. Let's just go crazy and throw something in there.
There were a couple of songs where they go, let's just ruin the song.
I don't even know if it's like ruining it in a way, but it's like
Oh, we'll get to it.
yeah. Well, there's definitely some
We'll
where
get to those.
It is like why are we doing this? What is going on here?
A couple were in the middle of the song. They're just like, what if we did something else for like 1 second and then went right back to what we were doing?
Yeah.
it actually makes me think they probably recorded it and then chopped it up afterwards.
Yeah.
And they were probably sitting there with one of the like a chord chaos pad or something and doing it, because that would have been big in this era, is using something like that to sit and kind of do the chops and do the edits and the fades, and that would explain a lot of the stuff I complain about as we go further.
Speaking of going further, next track. Next up is Smoke. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Gave this one an 8.
I went down to an 8 on this one.
I gave this one a 7.
I give this one an 8.
Who wants it?
Logan should probably go first so he
Yeah,
gets
I'll
to
go.
talk.
Intro was fun. There was a weird flutter in the cymbal, like on the drums, that I did not particularly love, but it was all right. This is the song where I really got confused and thought this album was supposed to be in English, and then it wasn't. I thought I lost the understanding of English for a minute.
I have a note about that. I have a funny note. It's like, it feels like we're stuttering a little bit cadence-wise, and there's this comma, oh, it's in Japanese.
Yeah.
And then really just there were a bunch of cool guitar techniques in this, like hitting harmonics and then hitting the whammy and just getting cool sounds out of it. Loved it.
Yeah, this one kind of felt like it kept that crescendo style. Like it was similar pacing wise to the previous song, but it got that little funk in there with the guitar. Like it started doing something different, and I was liking what was going on there. And this was the first song where they just for no reason halfway through the song changed it up completely and started going nuts. And then they were, all right, we're back to the same loop. Like we're just doing this again, which was very crazy.
Switcher average just went down. Pretty bad.
Yeah, I think I don't know if Logan was talking about it or not, but there were weird cuts in the loop in the beginning, and like I thought it was a cool technique, but they were like hard cuts with no reverb, and it was just in headphones. It was enough to make me kind of go, whoa, like it's something you don't hear very often, and I don't typically like it. Even in a loop like that, it just really showed off where the ends of the loop was. I think that was on purpose. I just didn't like it. I think the rest of my notes were like everybody else's.
I like the beat, but there was something a little bit weird in the beginning. Like that stuttering bit I was kind of feeling.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what it's kind of from. I really dig like the pseudo like blues tone with the guitar. Like I think that's what it was, like a blues jazzy tone. I thought that coming through was really cool. It's really simple vocally, but at the same time I think they do it well. Like he just says smoke for most of the song, and then there's some lyrics in Japanese, and then he says smoke for a lot of the song again.
It took me the second listen to figure out that it was smoke. I was just like, oh, he's just saying things. Like,
yeah, it does not sound like, it doesn't really sound like the word smoke until you read it while he's saying it. Like he stretches it out over a long hum, the early 2000s hum. And yeah, I think it have some pretty cool effects going on in here, and it was pretty good. I thought it was kind of long, and at the end they transport you to a beach, which is interesting.
I think that's when my first gripe for the album starts happening, where this album would be so good with good transitions. If it could transition into the next thing, it would be nice. So like once it starts going to the beach, it could have just been a transition to, say, bird watching, and you start hearing the birds coming in. But no, it just does that transition, ends, and then a completely new song starts, and it's just like, okay, we could have had something there.
I will say the start of the next song is water, so that kind of goes along with the
might
beach.
Be, yeah, and it would have been a good transition to have like something flow in there and have it a little tighter.
I just don't think it was done very well. I think they had like a specific water sound sample for the next track, and it didn't flow into like the beach vibe very well. I think they should have like played that sample almost underneath what was played at the end of this track to kind of pull us into the next one.
See, I got huge crossfades between track and track. I thought that was like to the point where like the sample for the drops were starting at the end of this track, and like I would get like a commercial, and then it would go into the next song.
He's back on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Apple Music worked for like 1 week. Sorry. Yeah. I'm still paying for it, but
yeah. And I wish like, yeah, those samples were just merged a little bit better, because I feel like there were so many opportunities throughout the album where they could have merged very seamlessly, but it was just a hard stop, and then we were like, all right, on to the next one.
We talked about this. I listened to the 2019 remix too, so they may not have bridged it so well in the original. I don't know.
I didn't really notice any problems with any of the transitions really between songs. Nothing stood out as good or bad. They were just kind of there. But yeah, no, this song, super catchy, fun guitars. There's a cool solo most of the time that gets deep fried for some reason in the middle. And then this is one of the ones where it just stops. I have written it dies in the middle and then comes right back. I just had a good time with this song.
Is the break fun though? I kind of like it.
Yeah,
I kind of like because
it.
a lot of these songs have a very similar loop, and they're just looping the thing, and it's kind of just that like early 2000s like club type beat happening.
This is listed as alternative, but I think this is very heavily electronic leaning.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what I went in with. So
I mean, Daft Punk is featured later on the album.
They are.
That's also just a very Japanese music thing. Is just to like randomly have a different 30 seconds of a song and then go back. Like it never happened. And no one says anything. They're just like, oh, okay.
In this song, I kind of liked it. I kind of liked when they do those like subtle pop-offs, because at that point I was just starting to get a little bit bored with it, and I was just like, all right, are we either transitioning or what's going to happen here? And then it was just like, no, we're just giving you something completely different, and then we'll go back to our normal schedule.
We got anything else? All right, next up, we got Drop. I give this one an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, this one an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
6.5.
I give it a 7.5.
Oh, I know why you gave it an 8 or a 6.5.
Well, Not entirely. It is not entirely the sample. I don't like the sample. It has a -10 opening. Like, the opening to the song is a -10 for me. It reminds me way too much of Trip, Trip, Trip by Chumbawamba. Fell off a ladder to that song. That's a whole story.
That's a deep cut.
That was like season 1. I fell off a ladder listening to that song at work.
Episode 5.
That's the Discord.
And I just
days.
I just laid there on the floor for like 30 minutes in pain listening to
Carson made it 4 weeks into this project and he almost died.
Yeah, album book club. True advice: never listen to Chumbawamba.
But
yeah.
it was
We're
a
doing another
little bit-
review. That's how we're ending the season.
I guess it was a little bit that the water sample went on for most of the song. It felt like it felt like it was there for almost all of it, and then they took it away for like 30 seconds, and I was like, oh my gosh, a reprieve. And then they bring it right back.
Do you like the
But
part?
really what it was, I realized it's someone hitting a bong. Did anybody else catch that?
Well-
because it like bubbles at the halfway point when it stops, and then he coughs in the backtrack. So it's all this water splashing, and then it bubbles. He coughs really loud in the backtrack, and then it starts bubbling again in like 30 seconds to 45 seconds. So it's some dude like hitting a bong. Like, that's what it's supposed to be.
I was wondering if this one was like actually played with the water, like he wasn't just using samples and he was just slapping water. It was sounding like pretty synced up with the music, which I really liked. But no, it was just ASMR. It was just like a nice, like, oh, this is like tingling all the brain receptors and everything. But it almost went away from being a song at that point. Like, it was just an ASMR track instead of just like this song I could keep listening to.
I feel like it's more of a vibe than a song sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water noises were rhythmically put in a rhythm that didn't match the rest of the song, which was cool because it made me not expect the song to come in the same as it was. And I always love that. It's like being bamboozled or something. That's fun. Other than that, the song was just groovy. It just existed.
Yeah, because the bass carried this song, and this is not the only one that it happens on. But also, Carson, what did you think about the guitar just drowning in the middle? Since you love the water so much.
I hate the water.
Yeah, the guitar, they just dipped it underwater for a few seconds. My only real gripe with this song is that it goes on just like a little bit too long. I think it was the ending. Yeah, the like outro of this is just like a little bit too long.
Which kind of is a theme for most of these songs, which is sad because I do like longer songs. I would prefer if the songs were longer, but I felt like sometimes it just needed something a little bit more.
I don't know. I feel like most of the time on this one it did pretty good. This one just overstays like by a couple seconds. I'm
Yeah.
not talking like a 30-second cut the whole ending off. I'm talking like maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. My biggest complaint was just I didn't like how they did their harmonies. They kind of did like a low, high, then middle, but their highest was realistically the middle note of the scale. So I just didn't like how they did it in any way. So I got -2.
All right. Moving on. Another Viewpoint. I give this one a 7.5.
I gave this one a 7.5.
I gave it a 3.
I'm on his side. 4.5.
I gave it an 8.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Allow me to defend myself. I like the bass in this song. I think the bass is the only good part about this song. The bass and the drums. The bass and the drums are pretty good in this song. I despise almost everything else. I despise when the guitar turns into an automaton. I don't know what's going on there. I despise how much stereo glitching is happening in my ears. Oops. Like, it's like glitching between ears almost, and I hated it. It gave me almost a full-blown headache trying to keep track of what was going on in each ear.
It's track 5.
And then it had a really corny cut. And it's just a certified skip for me. That's all it is. Like, if I come across this track again, I know that I don't like it through and through. I'm just going to skip it.
This was the most boring song on the album. Like, it just felt like it just kept looping and it didn't change it up. I was almost expecting like that halfway through like craziness or something to happen, and with such a unique song like Drop before, going into this, and it's just like at this point it's starting to drag. I'm like, oh, okay, the songs are starting to get a little bit long. This one didn't keep it up enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm in it. It just bored me.
Carson, did you say make a bass comment in this one?
Yeah, I like the bass.
Yeah, first note, bass is carrying once again. This is the Beat Boop song.
Yep.
And listen, I have a couple notes on here that are like, maybe it loops a couple too many times. Maybe it goes on too long. I'm here for it. This was just a vibe. But then also the little break in the middle where he said, I don't remember what he said. I wrote, quote, "This is called a waste of time," because the little break where he goes and says, this is just a something, I don't remember what it was in fact a waste of time. But I like this song.
I also feel like the placement's a little weird though, between drop and then you're going into like tone Twilight Zone.
That's
after
fair.
this, and it's almost like this track should have been either at like the end or introed a little bit more in the beginning when it was a little bit more digitized, because at this point I feel like we're in the point of view of nature and like natural sounds, and we're kind of seeing like different points of view while in a park. Almost like we're seeing the birds, we're seeing the water, we're seeing like these little bug things, like we're seeing all these things. But this song is just like, oh, we're just this like kind of digital, like,
Yeah, it's another
vibe.
viewpoint.
It is another
We're not
viewpoint.
viewing it from the forest.
We're
no
not
more.
viewing
Doing
nature,
it.
we're viewing the robot.
This
time.
viewpoint's
We're in the
confusing
Matrix.
me. Yeah.
See, I thought about that because I think there's like a story we're missing by not speaking Japanese. I think the tracks have to make sense somehow like that. Other than that, I loved that this was a layered rhythmic build. The sounds they use are a little gimmicky and a little odd. I'm not usually the beat boop man. Sorry, that was really funny. Minimal lyrics, which I liked. The thing that scored at another point was I liked the ending. It just kind of randomly switched at the very end. For just a second, I was like, man, that was nice. That was refreshing.
Yeah. I hated how the snare sounded. Thought it was junk. Get rid of it. And then there was a droning note that went over the entire song. Didn't change at all, and I think that kind of didn't help the fact that what changes there were really little, and then you have this droning note that doesn't change in any way. It kind of just made those seem to like slip in the back, because it does change up a tiny bit. It just never carries for long, but that note does.
Yeah. This one definitely just brought me to like early 2000s. Like, it definitely felt the most dated to me. So I was just like, I'm just not feeling it for this one.
All right, we got anything else? Moving on to Tone Twilight Zone. I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
Gave this a 7 out of 10.
Gave it an 8.
I also gave it an 8.
I gave it a 7.
I'll get this out of the way.
Dang.
So I'm trying to
I
think
couldn't think of any notes for this song.
You know what?
I just lived in Vibe City.
I would say this one's just a vibe. I think I'm gonna have to, just due to lack of.
I can tell you what I didn't like very, very clearly. It reminded me of Owl City, and like a lot. And you can do those like beat boop creepy things at the top in two ways, and it's either the Postal Service or Owl City, and one of them is a positive and one of them is an extreme negative. So that's how this ended up my bottom song.
Oh, I like Owl City.
Yeah, that makes one of us.
I listened to Postal Service today.
I also love Owl City.
Yeah, I'm an Owl City fan. But actually, this one kind of felt more like an Animal Crossing like video game soundtrack in a way, and it brought me back to what I was listening to before listening to this album, the Katamari Dynasty. So it was like feeling like I was small. So this was the one that like felt like I was changing views. Like the perspective has changed, and it's like it feels a little bit like a bug. So my note for this was, I'm a bug and I'm happy.
Oh, funnily enough, that sound that you get across the headphones at the start of the track, I thought it was like why is a spider skittering across my ears? Like, what's going on here?
Yep.
So I was immediately thinking of bugs too. I like the campfire vibe. It's a nice chill kind of thing. I feel like the stereo effects are done much better in this song. It's a lot more subtle. It's much less jarring, at least to someone like me who doesn't like those
I was
effects.
gonna say, brother man, we might switch you into mono. We
Yeah,
might turn that on your phone.
I
'cause
I
it's like you're
prefer
struggling.
mono more than anything else. Like,
Have you tried listening with one headphone on?
it's better. It's better for me.
Wild.
I'm gonna make sure that the track that plays behind these episodes gets split into stereo one day, just to mess with
Just
Carson.
hard pan.
I just
Yeah.
won't like it.
Well, you won't understand why because it's so quiet, but you'll just be getting angry, and you
I'll
won't know
figure it
why.
out. I'll figure
I
it
don't
out.
think you will.
Yeah, this one just felt intentional. Like from start to finish, it didn't feel like it was repeating things a lot. It was like we have a progression and we're gonna get there to the end, and then it ended on a nice note. It didn't feel like it dragged. Very, very nice addition. to
Very
the album.
calming. It
Yeah.
took me to a good place.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to
Hold on. Before you move on, how old were you guys when Owl City came out? I'm
10.
gonna solve this.
9 or 10.
Okay.
What year?
When
Yeah,
like
when-
Fireflies came out.
Yeah.
I was 2011 area. So
Yeah.
like
I was
9.
2010,
Yeah, so
2010, 2009.
So that solved it. I was in college, and that crap was
No.
just annoying me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were kids. We were like, yay!
Yeah, those 10 million Fireflies were really like
Mhm.
Yeah,
carrying that year.
yeah, it's kind of
Made the roller rink pretty lit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I just needed to add 2 and 2 there to make sure I wasn't insane. Alright.
I'm pretty sure the summer of my 10th birthday, I tried to catch as many fireflies as possible.
Yes.
All right, are we ready now?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. Bird watching at Inner Forest. I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
I give this a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Well, I feel like I should bump it up a little bit. Nope, give it a 7.5.
I'll give it a 9.5.
Valid.
Yeah, no, Carson's right. I'll give it a 9.
I'll bump mine up
change
to
it.
an 8.5.
My note for this was peak. It's just it feels like everything accumulated into this song. Like it was just all there, and it just felt really good, especially after the previous song. Like
That's what I wanted to get into. I wanted to get into this vibe that you get right here, where it feels like you fell asleep after camping, and then you woke up to bird sounds.
Yeah, dude, this
It's
was
beautiful.
this was Bird Jam, and it made me think. I had these buddies that I don't know. They might still have a band called Bird Law, but I went to see their show and it was nothing like this, and I was kind of upset. So this was a Bird Jam to me. My only like downside was that the drums were too crunchy, just a little bit.
I think the call transition, like the bird call transition that they do in the song, is really, really cool. I think the way they kind of melded that into the music was cool.
Yeah, it almost started getting like a little like digitized. Like the birds just started turning into the instruments, and I was like, "Oh, this is sick."
It is funny. I have a funny note at the end, like near the middle of this song, where I was questioning if a different band made the tasked track in this track because it felt so different to me because I think it really is some of the stereo stuff. Like I was so honed in on that in the earlier tracks of the album. It's just good. This one's just good.
Yeah.
Speaking of funny notes, G sharp. That's the funniest note I can think of.
E double sharp. That's a fun one. All right, yeah. So Rainforest Acoustic Jam. What's to not love about it? And yeah, all the like bird and sampled sounds are just so well mixed in with the actual music. I kind of didn't notice it at first, and then once I did notice it, it was just so lovely.
Yeah, I think while Smoke is my favorite on this album, I think objectively this is the best track on here. This is it in placement wise. This and the last song, I think, the note is on the last track, but it's for both of these. Perfect placement. Something needed to break up the. I don't even know what to call it. The nonsense of the tracks before it. So there was a lot going on in a very short amount of time.
The pacing score will remember this.
Well, and that's why I feel like Another Viewpoint was ranked so low for me, because I listened to the album a few times, and you listen to Drop, and then you're just like, I want to just get right into the bird watching song. Like I just want to get there. Why are we listening to this over and over again? So this song definitely like got me excited when I listened back through it.
All right, we ready? I just realized what was next. Are we ready to move on?
Yup. It's time.
All right. This is the real discussion. I hate. I gave this a 6.75.
Too high.
6.
Too high.
I gave this song a 7.
Too high. 3.
8.
I should give it an
How?
8. I should give it a 9.
I want to legitimately know how.
I know
The amount of whiplash.
Just to spite Carson, it's getting a 7 now for me officially.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8.
The shushing me in the middle of the track.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Who do you think you are?
Oh yeah, it was like, hey, hold up, we got this anime track that we're also gonna play right here too. So it just starts going riffing on the guitar like it was like out of Chainsaw Man, and I'm like, all right.
My biggest note for this track is at least it's short. This one made me viscerally angry. I hated the fact that it was here.
that's on purpose.
Yeah, I know, but I still didn't like it. It's still a skip every single time. Yeah. Even if it's on purpose sometimes, it's still just so bad that I hate it.
I get it. The thing that I didn't like was that everything was super over compressed, and like it almost gave me anxiety because it felt like I was shoved in a tiny box with this band that was playing way too loud. And I think that some people would like that. Fun parts, really high energy, but that particular thing was really interesting because I don't think I've ever heard it pulled off so like exactly. That it suddenly just sounded like you took this big open expanse in the last song and then they just shoved it into a cardboard box for this one.
Just turn the
It was like
compressor up
shaking
to
and screaming.
100% on everything.
Yeah, I do think the theme of the album might be carrying here, where it's like you have bird watching, then like maybe you're in the park and you have like a thought of like work or something like that. Anxiety hits. You're going through a bunch of like quick like anxiety thoughts, and then you're back to Brazil. You're back to being calm, and you're like, all right, that was just like a quick detour. Like we're now back here. So I wonder if, yeah, the points of view are kind of like carrying this song more than what it is. But I thought it was pretty rad with the guitar solo that was happening.
Yeah, this is just a sampler appetizer tray, man. This is just everything they could play. My biggest gripe is they have this like blast beats, beeps, and boops section multiple times, and it's just terrible. Every time it comes up, I wanted to throw my headphones, and it comes up like 4 times.
It's god awful, man.
It reminded me of Polyphia a lot. Actually, that's why I was like, neat, Logan's gonna not like this. As much as I try not to do that, I was like, wow.
No, that's valid.
I think the only thing I actually have against this song is there's like I don't even know what to call it. It's like a synth playing with the anime guitar. And it's like looping notes back and forth with the guitar. And I don't know what it is, but it doesn't sound good. But everything else this song does, do I know why it's here? No. Do I know why he chose to record this? No. But is it cool? Yeah. Except for that one instrument.
It's so sick. It's so sick.
I think my last note is I have no problem with this song. I just want to know what made him make that.
He hates hate.
I believe it. All right, we ready to move on?
Yes.
Next up is Brazil. I gave this song an 8.5 out of 10.
Give this a 7.
I gave it an 8.
Gave it a 7.5.
I also gave it an 8.5. That was weird.
Oh, you want to go?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I like that we were back into nature. You know,
Yeah.
I like that we came back to what I liked about this album. I think Jacob popping off in the background, you know, the wolf howling. I think that was funny. The beats are pretty good in this one, but the godforsaken hum is back, and every time I hear it, I'm just like, oh man.
Are you guys ready for probably the silliest gripe I've had on Album Book Club yet? This song sounded like it came from an island, and Brazil is not an island. Brazil is in South America. This made me think of Hawaii, not Brazil.
Oh my gosh.
And that made me like viscerally angry. And I think I would have liked the song otherwise had it been called like Hawaii or like, I don't know, like some other like tropical place. Brazil is not a tropical place. It didn't sound like South America.
Carl, we can both say that this album made us viscerally angry.
Yeah, but like mine was pure nonsense. I still gave the song an 8.5. I still liked it. It was just geographically I was confused.
How did you feel about the Daft Punk section, where they put the digitizer in the voice and it's all the robo stuff?
That was my only note. Was I love the digitized voice. Like it was something new from the vocals that was happening the whole album, and it just changed it in a slight way that I was like, yeah, I vibe with this.
I liked it. I wanted more of it, honestly.
Carl, I'm not gonna lie. I really genuinely thought, with all the ridiculous things we've heard out of your mouth, you couldn't top it. But you got it, bro.
Yeah. That one was a
Brazil
good
is
note.
in an island. It's a very insane note.
It's like Mr. Incredible. Like Brazil is Brazil. Like come on.
Yeah, it's all right.
I 100% thought the dog was real and just outside my window. It got me pretty bad. My next note is ask Carl how those vocals are done. Is that just an effect, or is that?
Yeah, more than
Okay.
likely, it's probably a vocoder or something similar. I wasn't listening that tightly to the vocals, but
Vocoder.
That's
yeah, it could be auto tune too. I mean, this is like peak auto tune. This era. I mean, and especially since I think they were using something like a Chaos pad. I'd put good money on the fact that it's probably just a Chaos pad. You could do the vocals that way with it. If you've never messed with one, it's a little touchpad, and you can essentially put audio into it and edit it in real time by which way you swipe. They're really cool, and you might be able to do similar things to that by like doing steps and things like that. Because like auto tune sometimes gets too precise, or a vocoder gets that really interesting attack. You get the attack of whatever instrument you're multiplying it across, whichever waveform you're using. And I didn't notice any of the particulars of that.
All right. Yeah, I think placement of this song makes no sense at all, but I think placement of most things on this album doesn't make any sense. So
I think if the next two songs weren't what they were,
that's true.
and they were a proper ending, this is the right track. Because this is a great wind down. It gets real empty, you know. It's still fun. It's got some energy, but it knows you're getting to the end. And then the next two were just like, nah, we're going back to the start.
I will say it gets empty, but then at the end there is a really deep bass sound. I love that bass sound. All right, we ready to get to the?
I'm excited.
All right, next up, Fly. I gave this a 7.5 out of 10.
I gave this a 7.5 out of 10.
I gave it a 7.
6.
I gave it a 10, and if I could rate it higher, I would.
That's actually insane.
This was my favorite track we've had on Album Book Club in a long time.
It's because
How
the
did-
ringing melted his brain.
I was going to say, how did you enjoy anything going on in the
I
book?
literally turned up my
How?
headphones all the way up, and then I looked to see if they were on fire. I was so excited. It was incredible.
It did the exact opposite effect for me. It completely, like, just ruined the song. It threw it in the trash can for me. This song was riding high. Up until the fill-in section where they overcompress, like, 50 different tracks and just throw it at you.
Yeah, it's
that I
amazing.
hate it. No, it's not amazing. It's terrible. It overwhelms you. It just fills the headphone, and it makes everything indiscernible. You can't tell what anything is.
Carson crash.
Let me read.
4K.
Let me read
No.
my note. My note is that it was a crazy huge murder wall of sound.
Pretty much, yeah. And I hated it. None of it made any sense. The parts of this album that I like sound so entirely different from it. And I liked what they were building. I liked what they were building up, and it came out of nowhere. If this had somewhere where it came from, like maybe if it was used earlier, you could make a case for the mega compression on the one song, you know, coming back. You know, mega compressed everything. Why not?
Yeah, this is where the main gripe of the album keeps coming back, where it's like it could be reordered. The tracks can be changed in a way to where it's just something really good and can maybe transition into the songs a little bit better. Like if I Hate Hate was next to the song, it would feel a little bit more intentional. But we had Brazil right in between all those, and it's just like, okay, now I'm going through this whiplash. And I mean, Fly's really cool. It's a very cool song, but towards the end, you just have that craziness happen where it's just like, this just fits with the other stuff.
I think you just brought up a really good point. There was a portion of this, like right at the end. During that fade out, they speed up. They speed up during that fade out. I don't know why they do it, but it feels like they're about to start the next track fast. and they just don't.
Yep.
And it's like, just place a fast track right after it.
Yeah.
The
transitions just never made sense to me, and it almost made, like, while I was listening to it the last time, I was like, I just want to go through and make my own playlist and reorder it the way that I would do it, because it's just making me so mad hearing this song. I really liked it, but I listened to this the first time on a speaker while doing some stuff in my house, and my dog started running out of the room during this song. And that wasn't the first. That wasn't the last time that happened. We'll get to it on the next track. But my dog hates this entire album, specifically because of this song as well, because the ringing was just insane. It was crazy.
I actually disagree wholeheartedly about the amount of you could move tracks around. I think it's all perfect as far as the track listing, but we'll talk about that in pacing. We're having a big argument today. I love the it just keeps pulling the rug out from underneath me, and that makes me so happy. I hate knowing what's going on in an album. Like, if you put on Bon Jovi for me, I listen to it for 10 minutes and I'm like, oh, that was enough Bon Jovi for this.
What
year.
we're hearing is that Carl really likes having his face smashed into the floor, the rug pulling out from under him. Thunk, there's another wall of sound. Thunk, another one.
I do play jazz, so the fact that I would essentially musical masochism would make sense. That's essentially what jazz is.
I mean, I like jazz, but it's to an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, what you just explained is kind of why I like the opening track, like how it shows you right away, we're going to start with something and then just throw something crazy at you, and then we're just going into the next thing. So, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Hey, Logan, how did you feel about this track?
Track was funky, dog. I liked a lot of it. There was a lot of cool riffs in that weird just wall of sound, and that's what I was looking for. I was like, well, if it's going to be there, I better find something cool in it. And there was a lot of cool stuff going on. You just had to pick it out. And then, just the drums just teeing it off at the end, just going hard, going out. Great time.
Yeah, I think I'm torn on this because given everything that we've said on the live, I want to say that this intro's too long, but just a little bit. But I really liked it the whole time it was happening, so I'm not mad at it. I think the only thing I was mad at was the building hiss behind everything. Did not appreciate that, but everything else in this song was great.
That was the fly. This was the experience of a fly flying into your ear when you're asleep, and you getting up and screaming, trying to get the fly out.
I want everybody at home to imagine that and think about how pleasurable that is, and realize that these three gave it 7.5 and above.
And then go listen to this track. Yeah.
And then you'll realize that I'm wrong here, and my ears are weird.
No, you'll get it when you hear the song.
I kind of miss the ringing now. I want to go back to the ringing. It's
I want more.
Yeah.
I just think that's such an insane way to describe something you're saying you like so much. I'm sorry.
No, it 100% is, because when that wall of sound came on, I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I grabbed my phone and turned it all the way up, and I was like, wow. It was awesome. I don't know that I've ever experienced
my biggest
anything.
problem with this was I was never that into it. So, when those things were happening, it was much harder for me to actually want to, go and listen to it. With what you were saying, finding cool things in the wall of sound. I wish I could do that, but I just didn't care enough about the album at that point to do it.
What do you mean at that point? We're at the end of the album.
Yeah.
It's over.
Exactly. I wanted it to just be over it.
I do really like the wall of sound. I just think the ringing specifically, that frequency hurt enough to where I was like, I don't want to listen to this, because I do love when that wall of sound happens, in Caravan for the Whiplash soundtrack. You got that crazy drum part where it's just nuts. That kind of felt like that, but then the ringing, I was just like, I'm gonna skip this. I don't really want to listen to this. Yeah. Which in the next track, it was effective with the ringing because of what they did after, but yeah, we can get into that.
I think this one's gonna be a fight. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Nowhere. I gave this one a 3 out of 10.
Give this a 7.5.
I gave it a 6.
4.
Give this one an 8.25.
Heck yeah, Carl's right.
Mine is very easy. It ends the way that this is that it started. Sorry, lost it for a second. Before the middle of this song, it was like a 7 or an 8, and then the end happened and it dropped like 5 points. That's all it is. The beginning of this track is pretty good. The end is not.
Connor,
It is 50
I
seconds
feel
of
the
hissing.
exact same way. It's just like with the last track. It was like an 8.5 before all that compressed stuff started going on. And it's the same way with this one. I loved the intro. I loved that kind of beachy vibe that we were back into. And it made me kind of mad at the album a little bit because of how wishy-washy it was for me. Because I wasn't really able to get into it. So some of the cooler stuff I was missing out on. So when you're only able to latch on to like certain bits and bobs, it just makes you mad. And then the other cool thing with this one, I feel like this one had more of a city pop feel, and I love that genre of music. It's just, why give me tinnitus? Why? You are actively putting the frequency of tinnitus through my headphones. Like, I'm not even having an attack right now, and I'm just hearing it. You're pushing it through me. You are hurting me. Why?
You know what? Bump it up to a 7. I'm bumping it up to a 7. All right, because of what I said in the last song. It did the tinnitus, and it hurt more than Fly, and it made my dog run out again, like she gone. But it did the effect where it all goes silent, and then you hear the vocals, and it's like, oh, okay. That made that moment feel much better with the tinnitus ringing. And also the beginning of the song just feels, I'm going to pull out a specific song, the Star Wars track for Masayoshi Takanaka. Shout out. Sounds exactly like that. Love it.
Check out our review of that. album.
Takanaka's really good, by the way.
Oh yeah, this felt exactly like the Star Wars track on that, and I was just like, oh yeah,
So
this brings me back.
Samba does come from Brazil, so that track makes sense.
Yeah.
So my only like real gripe, other than like I guess since I listened to the remaster, because I have awful tinnitus and it never flared up once.
Oh,
So-
it's bad in the original.
So I guess they just fixed it
I'm
all in
gonna
the
have to go
remaster.
back and listen.
It's
to that.
it's
Yeah.
very similar to what you did with it's very similar to like the weird feedback loop that you get with synth pedals sometimes. How it gets like super, it builds up on top of itself and it gets super like ringy, and it was really high pitched.
See that
It's
in a
like
future video.
Yeah, it is a scream. Like I had to like turn it down. I was like, this is crazy.
I don't know. The Porta Pros may just not make it because I was listening over my vintage causes, so they could have been like not just they just can't reproduce that frequency. But my only real problem with this is why is there a trombone on a beach? It kind of reminds me of like someone like laying on the beach and someone just not shutting up, sitting next to them talking, and all you hear the whole time is wah 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 wah, like Charlie Brown. And then the center where it like stops is where he's plugging his ears, and then the ambient ending is when he finally murders them for talking while he's on the
Oh,
beach.
can we talk about that minute 30 of full drone at the end? What was that, man? Like just a minute 30 of one solid note all the way to the end.
I didn't hear it. I had to put my headphones up higher on my head so I couldn't hear the ringing as
Yeah,
much.
I think at that point I gave up. I was just like, you know what? We ended.
It's just a minute 30 of,
I think it was delay pedal feedback, which, as we found out, can literally murder Logan if he's in the room. So
See that in a couple of weeks.
Yup.
Is that this week? That's this week. See that tomorrow. I
Happened
think.
twice now.
Oh yeah, I'm hosting. Hold on.
Do we want to do an ad read? I feel like this is ad read
We
time.
probably should do an ad read.
Those of you still watching, those of you going to watch eventually, you want to get some Album Book Club merch? You can do it. We have our wonderful Album Book Club mugs, our wonderful hats, and
Oh, I forgot my cue.
your cue, yeah. We also have our hats and quarter zips available, as well as some of our wonderful hoodies and T-shirts
These are
and
full
new
zips.
desk masks. Oh, they are full
they're
zips.
full zips.
We don't have any quarter zips. We'll get on that.
And
my
looking
head
good,
is too
too.
large to go through a hole. It has to go around my arms. Sorry.
It's all that ego.
Probably.
I'm back to being able to host the episode. It is this week. Tomorrow you can hear the things that we keep referencing.
I've learned that I have a large ego about geography today. So, just me knowing that Brazil is not an island is enough to ruin an album.
Brazil's part of an island.
But they brought it back around with
They
the
did.
samba. They brought it back.
All right. You ready to get into the pacing of this album?
Mm-hmm.
Carson's looking at me like he knows that I'm about to say it's an 8 out of 10.
He's about to snap lock like a 3. I'm guessing.
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 4, but I'm feeling more 3. Yeah.
Oh,
I gave it a 9.5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Listen,
You cannot explain away this whiplashy mess.
like I said, I was on a drive today, got to run this entire album in the span of that drive. It was not bad at all.
I'm not talking about how easy it is to listen to. I'm talking about the
That's
80
literally what
different
pacing
placing
is. That is literally what pacing is.
so
Yeah, but the whiplash hurts that for me.
after hearing the thoughts and thinking about it more, I think it deserves a higher score, like a 7. But I was coming off of really enjoying Sable Fable by Bon Iver that just recently came out, and he does these transitions in each of these tracks like really, really well. And I think I was just hoping that it was going to bring all these together in like some sort of story, and none of it works for the transitions.
For me, the most egregious parts are definitely like I hate. Like I don't like where that is. I just cut it from the album. Just don't put it on here. I think the speed up at the end of Fly is really weird. Don't know why it's there. And I think for me, I never really latched on. So the album, I had good points in the album. I had bad points in the album. But the whole thing, I couldn't get over that whiplashy feel. Like, I couldn't really settle into their sound. Every track for me was just, here's this wall, here's this wall, here's this wall, here's this wall. Oh, and here's 3 tracks that are kind of the same. But everything else is so different, you're not going to know what's going on. And it isn't cohesive for me.
I agree with everything you said, except those are the reasons I like it.
Sometimes we are just the antithesis of each other.
I mean, seriously, no. Like this reminded me of one of my playlists because I'll get some like Takanaka or like Real Island music next to like the Mars Volta, and then you'll randomly get like a I don't listen to Daft Punk so much, but what's they have a song LCD Sound System. You get like those 3 things back to back, and it makes no sense except for this album is. Those 3 things would make sense back to back on this album, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Man, this was the longest and shortest 48 minutes of my life. That was my big problem with it. It's not that long of an album. It's only 11 tracks. But you get, like, through the first 3, or through the first, like, 5 or 6, and you're like, yeah, we're going strong. And then it just really bogs you down with how much it throws at you. And there are no transitions this entire album. And I get that wasn't the focus in 2001, but that is the pacing score. So
Yeah.
it just inherently wasn't the greatest pace. Not a bad album by any regard, just not the greatest paced album. I don't think you can change anything about it other than re-recording things.
Listen to the remaster because there were a bunch of crossfades and everything. I don't think you guys got. I think I screwed up by listening to the 2019 version.
No, I definitely need to check that out. Yeah, I think just same exact things. Just
I'll go back and listen to this whole album in mono and see how I feel about it.
Maybe my day was just like fit this album. Maybe that's
hectic
what it was.
mess.
Yeah.
My day did
Does
not
that-
fit this album.
The mess that today was just this worked as a soundtrack too pretty well.
I
was going to say, I actually kind of agree with you. There are certain stereo things that do make me incredibly angry. This album just didn't have any
I think for me, I just don't like stereo too much, especially when they're like, oh, haha, it's a cool stereo thing. Look at how cool it is. We can play different things in different headphones. It's like, dude, it's just played out. I know.
It depends on what they're going for. Like
Yeah.
we've reviewed albums that egregiously use stereo, but we've reviewed albums that do it great.
Yeah. Like, great example, the Beatles. The early Beatles stereo mixes are like some of the worst music you will ever hear in your entire life. You're like, why are there vocals and drums in only the left channel and all of the other instruments are in the right channel? Who chose this?
I thought you were about to say those were good, and I was about to be disgusted.
No.
I was literally already making a gross face.
No,
I was
no.
like, oh god, he's gonna like these.
No. Only in mono, or I'll listen to the remasters. It kind of depends on who did the remaster, though.
All right, we ready to get into album art?
Mm-hmm.
I gave the album art a 7 out of 10.
I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6. Yeah, I think we're.
For me,
dot.
I mean, it's got the point on there.
No, it's
Sure,
it's
man.
not a point. It's not a single dot. It's
If you zoom out, it's probably a point.
Actually,
it is a radiant.
I really
Agreed.
like that graphical element. I just don't like the typography, like on the top
I was
left.
gonna say, I'm looking at the
Is there
remaster.
typography on it?
Not on the remaster. I just saw it on Logan's
Okay.
phone. That one's better.
Wait,
The
which,
remaster.
Oh, the
doesn't have
remaster's
the
just
words.
white.
oh yeah, if it
Oh.
didn't have the words, it goes up to like a 9 for me. Like
Yeah, that-
I
I-
really like
that's at
that.
least
I
a
effect.
like
six.
I like that if it's not with the words suck with this, but without it, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, the words definitely bog it down.
Yeah,
a little
there's-
bit,
there's-
make it look a little cheap and dated.
There's just too many words. Like, I understand you're proud of your hometown, and like, but no one needs to know the length on the cover. That's why you open it.
Yeah.
Like,
For me, it's just boring. It's a gradient circle. Cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. It reminds me of Microsoft Paint when you hit the spray can button.
Yeah, it's just a
That's all
spray
that
can
is,
button.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I miss Microsoft Paint.
I wish it was like a picture of the forest or something.
You
So
know-
you think it's really calm when you go in, and then the first couple tracks happen.
Paint still
Yeah.
exists. Paint is still installed if you have Windows.
He misses Clippy.
Yeah, it is. I can open up MS Paint on my computer right now.
Then it's not the same thing. I want 1998 Windows Paint.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get like 2010 Windows Paint.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it does like gradients and things. I don't want that. I just want like the spray can and the line tool and the shape tool.
Well, it still
That's
has
I want.
all of that.
Yeah, but the brushes suck. I hate the brushes. I just want just on or off, no gradients.
If you can't see the pixels in what you're painting, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, I actually zoom way in and set it to only pixels. I like to make like 6x8 pixel art.
Pixel art's cool.
All right, we ready for music overall? Carson's not gonna like this one. Overall, I gave it an 8.5.
I gave it a 7.5.
I gave it an 8.
Just think you're a little high. I can give it a 7.
I give this one a 9.
Listen, I know I hated on this album for most of the time, but a lot of it was majorly me not latching onto it. Like, that was a big part of this. Like, I don't like the stereo stuff, and that was a big thing in this album. It was clear that they were going for certain effects that I just personally didn't like, and I didn't personally latch onto. I think there's some really cool stuff in this album, and I think it has a lot of merit. There's definitely a lot of effort that was put into it, and it's done really cool. And just some of the effects, I can see what they were going for. I can see how cool that it could be if I was into them, but I'm just not.
And I was.
Yeah,
No,
it's a perfect example.
yeah, I like when an album can get that out of someone too, where it's just like you're just throwing something out there and just it's completely different than like some other things that you're listening to, and it's really goofy. It's got all those glitchiness to it, but it's also this concept of points of view where you can think a little deeper, where I think it ended up scoring that top score, even though there were some like quirks with the transitions, the ringing, things like that docked it a little bit, but it just kept that cool concept and just wasn't afraid to be what it is, which was pretty cool.
That's a great statement. I have a high appreciation for art that isn't scared to exist, and this album definitely pushed some boundaries. So that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty low lows on this album, but for the most part, I liked almost everything that I heard.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a fun listen. I mean, that's the biggest takeaway. Is yeah, there's some skippables. There's skippables on almost anything depending on the day. So it's just having something that's generally fun and an easy listen is really important and kind of hard to do. So kudos to you, 2001 peeps.
Whoever Cornelius is.
All right, do we have anything else?
Buy our merch.
Do you
Yeah,
guys
do
like
it.
gorgonzola cheese?
No,
No,
Never heard of her.
horrible.
Yeah. Okay. See.
disgusting.
Yep. I have more opinions that only I think are valid. So we'll learn more next week.
Next week.
Yapcast.
Next week, when we listen to The Greatest Generation by The Wonder Years. We might have a guest for that. We might not. We don't know yet. We're going to try. Thank you, Max, for coming out.
Oh, yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that
Yeah.
stuff too. That's important.
Especially if you made it this far. At this point, like, come on, what are you doing?
And listen to this album. It's
it.
pretty fun.
For
Just experience it. Experience it.
You can skip this one.
Not with your dog though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would pain your dog, and I think that's just showing it's a
abuse.
kind of terrible album.
Yeah.
But definitely skip Chumbawamba.
Yeah, every single time.
Nope. We'll be back listening to that here soon.
No.
See you next week.